In Japan, a single date can determine the entire trajectory of your life. Not your birthday, not the day you graduate. The year. Be born at the right time, and a major corporation will treat you like a VIP. Stability, salary, a path laid out in front of you. Be born just a few years earlier, and that same corporation will turn you away. Not because of what you did, not because of who you are, simply because of when you arrived. This is the story of that system, how it was built, how it broke, and who it left behind. April in Japan is a season of hope and new beginnings. Schools, the government, corporations, the entire society resets its gears on April 1st. But beneath the beautiful spring breeze, a strange phenomenon takes over the cities. Thousands of young people, all dressed in identical pitch-black suits. Same haircuts, same expressions, like a massive army of clones. What you're looking at is Shukatsu, Japan's unique and uniquely rigid job hunting season. This culture rests on three pillars that form an entire social contract. The first pillar is simultaneous bulk recruiting. Every company hires at the same time, every year, from the same pool of fresh graduates. The gate opens only once for you, and if you miss it, it may never open again. The second is lifetime employment. Once you're in for good. Japanese labor law makes it extraordinarily difficult to fire a full-time employee. The third is seniority-based wages. Your salary grows because of how long you've survived, regardless of performance. Put these three together, and you get a social contract that demands your entire life. The company pledges to protect you until retirement. You pledge your time, your location, your patience, and your loyalty. During Japan's post-war economic miracle, this contract worked brilliantly, pushing the country to become, at its peak, the world's second-largest economy. But after decades of stagnation, one side began to crack. In most Western countries, landing a job is a race you run on your own terms. You build a portfolio and apply when you're ready. Japan plays by completely different rules. Major corporations hire thousands of students at the exact same time, more than a year before graduation, no experience required. The timeline is mathematically strict. Applications open in March, interviews begin in June, contracts are signed by October, then graduation in March, and the first day of work, April 1st. It runs like a factory conveyor belt. This strict schedule isn't a law, but it operates as an absolute rule that no one dares to break. Every year, nearly 400,000 inexperienced graduates are fed into this machine. Here's something that surprises most outsiders. Japanese companies aren't hiring you for what you know. They're looking for a blank slate, a pure white canvas they can paint on themselves. Potential over experience, culture fit over credentials. And this reveals an uncomfortable truth. Corporate Japan does not trust university education. In the West, your major often defines your career path. Study computer science, become an engineer. But in Japan, companies largely ignore it. What they look at is the rank of your university. Not as proof of knowledge, but as proof of something harder to fake. The patience and discipline it took to survive years of brutal entrance exam competition. Think of the university not as an education, but as a filter. It's a ticket into the corporate world. And once you have it, almost nothing else matters. Then comes April, entrance ceremonies, weeks of group training. And here's the catch. New hires still have no idea what their actual job will be, or where they'll be living. The contract they sign simply states, any duties assigned by the company, any location deemed necessary. What they handed you was essentially a blank check made out to HR. By late May, destiny is delivered. Young people call this moment Haizoku Gacha, placement roulette. Yes, gacha, like the capsule toy vending machines. Imagine spending 4 years studying literature and being told on your first week, Congratulations, you're a software engineer now. Or sitting in the Tokyo headquarters and hearing, next week you're moving to Sapporo, 800 kilometers north. Good luck. How do companies get away with it? The company's explanation is simple. It is as stated in the agreement. Plus, we cover your moving fees, and we provide you with a company apartment. We handle the logistics. But this is never a problem solved cleanly by money and benefits. The company only pays for the moving truck. The emotional cost, the isolation of building a new life from scratch in a place you've never been, and the sudden separation from partners and friends is paid entirely by the young workers through sheer endurance. You surrender control of your private life. In exchange, you get stability. For decades, Japan accepted this because it delivered an employment rate well over 90% for fresh graduates, spurring one of the greatest economic booms in history. Then, in 1991, the bubble burst. The lost decades arrived. Companies were suffocating. But because lifetime employment was legally enforced, letting go of existing, middle-aged workers was extremely difficult. They were a legally protected sanctuary. So corporations made a defensive choice. They froze the entry point. They stopped hiring new graduates. In Japan, you can only present yourself as a new graduate during that one narrow window, and that made the freeze catastrophic. If you graduated in a bad year, the gate was shut. To survive, you had to take part-time shifts or unstable dispatch work. A few years pass, your skills stagnate, and the corporate world labels you as underdeveloped. Too old to be entry-level. Too inexperienced to be anything else. Here's another story. A young woman had dreamed of being a flight attendant since childhood. In Asia, being a flight attendant was historically seen as a prestigious, highly competitive career track for elite graduates. But the exact year she graduated, the airlines froze all cabin crew recruitment. Desperate to enter the industry, she accepted a ground staff role. The company told her there would be opportunities to transfer to the cabin later. But that chance didn't come quickly. Year after year, her position remained unchanged, and the exhausting grind of daily work slowly drained her of that youthful ambition. By the time she realized the transition was a distant illusion, time had already passed. She made an adult compromise and let the dream go. Of course, giving up a dream is a normal part of growing up, but the cruelty here is that just a few years earlier, the success rate to get the dream job was incredibly high. The door closed right when it was her turn to walk through. This is the lost generation, known in Japan as the employment ice age generation. Millions of people pushed out of the only path the system offered, not because they failed, but because they arrived at the wrong moment. The cruelty becomes even sharper when you look at who surrounded them. The bubble generation just before them enjoyed lavish corporate recruitment, dinners, trips, and expense accounts. Meanwhile, the generation entering the workforce today is chased by desperate companies facing severe labor shortages, with starting salaries that are higher than what some in the Ice Age generation make right now, in their 40s. This extreme contrast sparks fierce debates in Japanese media and online today. Because for the Ice Age generation, the message was cold. They were simply born in the wrong year. Your entire career is determined by the economic weather of the year you turn 22. So, where is this heading? More corporations are introducing Western-style, on-demand, job-based hiring. The tech talent shortage is forcing change, and the headlines say the old system is collapsing. But for the vast majority of Japanese companies, especially large ones, simultaneous bulk recruiting is still the center of the labor market. Every April, hundreds of thousands of young people in identical black suits follow the same unwritten rule their parents followed before them. The machine is showing cracks, but it's still running, and here's why it's so hard to stop. The system's greatest strength, absorbing people, crushing their individuality, and producing loyal employees, is exactly what keeps it alive. The people it creates are the very ones who protect it. Even from within Japan, this system can look mad. But if you ask the average Japanese person, should we switch tomorrow to an American system where you are fired instantly if you underperform? Most would quietly shake their heads. The next generation of Japanese workers will face a choice their parents never had to make, not just where to work, but whether to trust a system that has never had to earn their trust before. That perhaps is where the real story begins. If you found this video interesting, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.